We're showing you this Giovanni fight from two different perspectives. This one's going to be a little bit more if you're like kind of expert, or at least you have a lot of options, let's say. That's a little better because these videos are traditionally, I kind of gear them more towards anybody who's struggling, right? Like otherwise you probably wouldn't search this up. Although you would be surprised the amount of comments that I get that are just like, bruh, just use Giratina 4000 CP. You know, like what fun would that be if I just made a video that's like one Pokemon at 4 million CP just beats the whole thing and there's like no strategy. So anyway, again, this is a little bit more if you have a lot of options in your box. You've got legendaries because most of the time I keep my Pokemon below the Great League, traditionally non-legendary. So Giratina Altered Form, it is amazing for taking down a Persian with Scratch. You're not really going to use it against Persian with Feint Attack because you really should be using your top fighting types for Persian with Feint Attack. Even some of your mid-level fighting types, you know, are going to beat it still at Feint Attack. Like Feint Attack is definitely the easier of the options for going up against that Mewtwo. As you guys can see, we really sped this up. It's mostly about the Pokemon and their moves. We're going to go a little bit slower now coming up after we defeat this Giovanni right here. And I say defeat, but I actually do want to save the Super Rocket Radar so I can do the next part, right? So we would beat him right here if we just fully charged Yveltal's Dark Pulse. The Mewtwo would be gone. You can clearly see like we're taking a lot of extra time right there. Like that is a clear victory, right? So anyway, here's a perspective. If you couple it with the rest of the playlist on this channel that shows other Giovanni videos, we're trying to tackle it from all the different scenarios he can throw at you. And again, we'll go normal speed right here. So let's say you just had one of those legendaries, right? It was Giratina. And of course, if you want to say that you don't have any legendaries or you don't have that Giratina, for instance, with the Dragon moveset right now, I've got many things to offer you. One is, of course, the full playlist that I mentioned before. We show different Pokemon each time, so it's not really just like repeating the same Pokemon every video, right? Like that would get stale. But there's also a video on this channel. It was done almost about 2 years ago, but it's basically only about the Persian. The Persian fight, and this really goes for a lot of Giovanni's Pokemon, is that they can be a different battle depending on which fast attack type move is being sent against you. Like we said with the Persian, the example would be Feint Attack, which is a dark type attack, and then of course Scratch, which is a normal type attack, but it's the one that it's using right here. Scratch doesn't generate a lot of energy, so it kind of takes a long time for that Persian to use its charge move as well. You can see we finally used it. Why is that important? Well, every single time that you use a charge move or Team Go Rocket uses a charge move, their Pokemon are going to stand still for just about like 2 seconds. We call this the stun time. That's time that you want to take advantage, right? You don't want to use your charge attack. Look, I have a Dragon Claw available. I'm not going to use it right away. You saw that, right? So the Steelix, it did shield it because Giovanni still had a shield left, right? But then we just basically did tap, 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 and used our fast attack to generate a little bit more energy on top of the charge attack that we already have ready to go. You can stack up that energy, you know, like overcharge it. Does that make sense? So you kind of farm it, generate that up. This also goes every single time that a Pokemon is switched out, or like even if they faint too. So that's why you notice like every time my videos will open up with switching to a different Pokemon. That's just to get us a good 3-second advantage or so, where that Persian at the very beginning of the fight is going to do nothing. Now this Azumarill is actually put in because I've already shown Excadrill, at least I believe. If I haven't, you can use Excadrill actually for this same kind of like purpose. Excadrill might actually be a little bit better for the power, maybe not the lasting power. That's what Azumarill has. I know PvPers know that, but the idea here is that you're trying to resist the Steelix fast attack typing, which is a dragon move, right? It's using Dragon Tail, but wherever you can, you want to be using super effective damage. And so, of course, Azumarill is going to be using Bubble as our fast attack, and so that's going to be the component that deals super effective. This is actually taking the kind of like, let's call it beginner or maybe person who's struggling but doesn't have as many options. This is taking it even further because I decided not to change actually the charge move of this Azumarill right here. It could have Hydro Pump, for example, and then you would have, of course, your charge move also be dealing super effective damage, and Hydro Pump takes a lot of energy to charge up to hit, but man, obviously it hits pretty hard, right? So instead, we'll kind of do this we'll call it the hard way. It's more just the scenic route, right? Route. This is another little tip you can use. We didn't fully charge that Ice Beam right there because we do want to get some hits off before it faints, so it's like you just go just under what it would take to KO that Steelix right there, just so we can generate a little bit more energy. It's actually not going to end up being needed really because that Mewtwo is still going to KO us before we can get off another charge move against it. So here, let's use the switches to our advantage once again, right? We're going to go Obstagoon. That's eventually what we want to land on, but hey, we can put Giratina in with a switch with the idea that Giratina is essentially going to do bonus damage before the Obstagoon comes in to kind of like anchor spot us, you know, be the caboose here and finish it off. So you saw that, of course, when Obstagoon came in, it was after a fainted Pokemon, so Mewtwo waited about 3 seconds. Then, of course, right before that 3 seconds was up, we switched into Giratina. You catch my drift, everybody, with using that stun time to your advantage, right? So now we've got Giratina in here, and we're just going to be chaining this Dragon Claw charge move as much as we can, and it looks like we are going to run out of energy here, so eventually this Giratina obviously will faint. There it goes. Once again, if it hasn't been drilled home hard enough, watch how long Mewtwo is going to take before moving. See, it's not moving, not moving, not moving that whole time, and then it's going to go ahead and attack us, and you can see obviously Obstagoon will resist this, so any of your dark types will resist no matter what Mewtwo throws at you for its fast move. We should say just the fast attack. Mewtwo can actually have, I guess, several different charge moves of different typings, so once again, we just mean the fast attack is always going to be psychic from Mewtwo. So the thing about Obstagoon is you can actually, if you had counter, that would be more of an energy generating move, but you would obviously know it would actually be resisted by Mewtwo, so Mewtwo does not take super effective damage from counter, but with our Obstagoon having Lick, we are not going to get energy as fast, but we are going to actually deal super effective damage, and so kind of just that middle ground of, hey, like we're not going to get as much energy, but dealing like a decent bit with the super effectiveness, you know, you'd probably get by if you had counter just because the energy would generate a little faster. You could spam out that charge move quicker, and so if you had Night Slash, it'd be a little bit more powerful than Obstruct. Obstruct is the Community Day move, but it guarantees that you're going to debuff for their defense and then buff your own defense, and so when anything's guaranteed like that, it's pretty nice. But yet again, hopefully I've drilled home that this is just, if you are struggling, you can use this second lineup, or let's say you're facing Nidoqueen or Rhyperior in that middle spot. Well, why not click an end screen and go see another video? All these videos as a full library are intended to tackle whatever scenario he can throw at you, and thanks for viewing.